Welcome to Raw Foodist. This is Axayshah, and Dr. Shrenik Shah is here today to give us information about cholesterol and related all the other information he is going to share with us. This is going to be a fantastic episode. Most of the people don't know. I was very much surprised when I shared this information about cholesterol to a NASA engineer. He was not knowing. A pharmacist, she was not knowing. CPA, she was not knowing. Everybody was surprised the information I shared. And that's the reason I want to dig into more. I want to see that Dr. Shrenik Shah gives more information which is really going to be eye-opener for a lot of people. And I understand a lot of medical people also, they don't understand. But I cannot say that. Let Dr. Shrenik Shah say all about the cholesterol. Dr. Shrenik Shah, floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Akshay, for getting me on these grounds, for spreading beautiful information that I had discovered in my life. And it was a discovery for me. That does not mean that truth did not exist. Truth was always there. I just only uncovered it. But I was the instrumental in taking a first step myself to really know what is cholesterol. And, I'm just going to present you my whole experience all along, how it evolved in my practice and how it changed my life and thousands of other people. So today's presentation, I'm really focusing on the whole food plant-based diet and cholesterol. Cholesterol, everyone knows. If you ask someone, everybody will know what is cholesterol. But that's not the issue. The issue is what is cholesterol. So I'll just introduce myself first, and then we'll take the journey. So I've been a medical director in a World Vegan Vision. It's a non-profit organization, and I've been with them for the last 6-7 years. And I have given multiple talks, and I have been in medical practice, primary care for last 37. I practiced for 37 years, and I'm retired for 4 years now, and I'm self-evolved really into the whole food plant-based diet for like 20 plus years. And I've been highly successful in recommending this diet to my patients and prevent and reverse a lot of diseases. So here we go. So vegetarian diet, everyone knows, yes, that they do not consume meat, do not consume animal products, but they do consume rather animal products, meat, milk, cheese, honey, etc. But it does not involve killing the animals, and animal products are still responsible for creating many diseases in humans. So vegetarian diet by itself is still not healthy. And being an Indian practitioner with Indian background, I had like 40% or plus of Indian patients. And India is very big on vegetarianism because of our ancient roots of non-violence and all that. We don't like to kill the animals. So we still consume dairy products and all those things and think that that's enough. But it's not enough. I was still seeing a lot of diseases in the Indian population, and of course non-Indian population also, with obesity, diabetes, heart attack, cancers. And I was still wondering, why are they still going through all this suffering? I call all disease suffering. This is something that makes you unease. It's this. So they were suffering. There is no question about it. And I had to get to the answer. And the food was, of course, one of the most prevalent things that I was trying to focus down to. So I myself was vegetarian many years back. And then I said, it's still not really optimal health. So what is the optimal health? So I said that there has to be something wrong even with the vegetarian diet. So as I was exploring, I came across this vegan diet, which does not involve any animal products. So vegan diet is no animal foods or animal products. And of course, but it can still have concentrated carbs, sugary drinks, oils, fried foods. So even though being vegan is not necessarily healthy enough, because you eating breads and soda and all those pasta and all those things, fried stuff, is still not healthy. Because still to be optimal, you need to go to the higher level, and that is a whole food plant-based diet, which basically is whole grain diet, leafy vegetables, fruits, nuts, legumes, seeds, and no processed foods, no oil, and very limited salt and sugar. So pretty much raw food. So it's really one of the best diet, and that I can see, and that's what I have allowed that to come in my life, and then changing my life, and then I have been able to change a lot of people's lives, because I believe that if I don't change myself, I have no right to preach to anyone. So the question that I had come across among so many other questions, the main that pertains to today's talk is, what is cholesterol? And all these things I was noticing that cholesterol is the cause of so many diseases, especially obesity, of course, heart disease, stroke, hardening of the arteries, atherosclerosis, all those things. But I never knew what is cholesterol. Suddenly it sprang in my mind. I said, I had no answer. And so finally, shamefully speaking, in medical school, there is no set aside curriculum on nutrition, believe it or not. And nutrition nowadays, we know, is one of the basic component in your total health. It's never included in medical curriculum. So I asked this question to almost 100 people. I tell you, only 2 people gave me the right answer. And both those people were biochemistry students. And that's the reason they could give me the right answer. And this is where the culprit comes out. So, but in those days, I myself, even though being a physician, I did not know what was cholesterol. So I asked Dr. Google, what is cholesterol? So suddenly the answer popped up in a very, very unbiased way, that cholesterol is an organic molecule. It's a sterol, a type of lipid molecule. And the last part is the most important. It is an essential structural component of all animal cell membranes. So what does it mean? Every single cell in an animal's body is made out of cholesterol. And that was really eye-opener. That means the whole animal is made out of cholesterol, because without cells, we cannot survive. So we are animals, so we draw our blood and we get cholesterol. But that also means that any animal, if you draw the blood, whether it's a cow or a sheep or a goat or a snake or a frog, they all will have cholesterol. Why? Because all animal cell membranes are made out of cholesterol. So it doesn't matter whether you eat a chicken head or chicken breast or chicken thigh or chicken whatever. Even if you eat its feathers, it would be cholesterol there. So whole animal is made out of cholesterol. So that's when I realized cholesterol is so important in our body. Our body manufactures cholesterol, just like all other animals. We are also animals. We make our own cholesterol. What do we do with that cholesterol? We help create new cells in our body, because every cell requires a cell membrane. Cell membrane is the cell wall within which the nucleus, which contains the chromosomes and genetic structures and all these things, but there is a cytoplasm, which is like a liquid gel. But the wall is a must. Without the wall, there is no cell. Otherwise, everything will disperse. And that cell wall is made out of cholesterol. So our body makes the cholesterol, and then as we keep on going through the day and through the life, through the whole years, all these years, we keep on growing from a childhood to adolescent to middle age to old age and then die. The whole process, the whole saga of an evolving life throughout our age groups is also evolution of the cholesterol. We keep on making new cells and we keep on shedding old cells. And this is how we keep getting older. And at some point, when we reach old age, when we lose our capacity to manufacture cholesterol, so we also lose our capacity to make new cells and we die. That is the whole life drama. If I want to kill someone, and again, this is just a bold statement, but just want to prove my point that if I want to kill someone, the best poison I can have is a poison that will bring the cholesterol down to 0. If I do that, that guy will die instantaneously. Why? Because every second we are making new cells. Every second we are shedding thousands and thousands of cells, and thousands are being created. And that's how our whole life cycle product. So that shows how important the cholesterol is. But our body is smart enough to make our own cholesterol. There is no necessity to take any more cholesterol, but we do. How? By eating animals. Every single animal is made out of cholesterol. So every time we consume animal or animal products, we are consuming cholesterol on top of what our body is already making. So we are getting overloaded with cholesterol. And normally cholesterol being so important in our life, the additional load of the cholesterol is what clogs your arteries. And that's exactly was the further journey of my life after Dr. Google taught me this important information, which I'm sharing with the world. So what does it mean? So every time you eat meat, red meat, chicken, fish, lamb, goat, of course you are eating cholesterol, no question about it. But also every time you drink milk or eat cheese or butter, yogurt, ghee, everything is full of cholesterol. Why? Because they came from animals. Because this way we're adding cholesterol, and that's what's causing all the diseases in our body. So one steak, for example, gives 149 milligrams of cholesterol. Half a fillet of salmon, 112 milligrams of cholesterol. And people have been told fish protects you against the heart disease. Yes, compared to beef, obviously, fish has a less cholesterol, but it's still cholesterol. And all the cholesterols are the same. These are all bad cholesterols. Animals gives out bad cholesterol, LDL, the sticky molecule. That's what they give out because that's what they are made out of. So even the fish gives you cholesterol. Milk, of course, 1 cup gives you 24 milligrams of cholesterol. But wait, for the next slide. 1 cup of cheese, 256 milligrams of cholesterol. It takes 10 cups of milk to make 1 cup of cheese. And cheese is everywhere. Who drinks milk nowadays? Nobody drinks milk. Everybody wants cheese. And cheese we have become addicted to. And that's what's causing all these problems. Same thing, yogurt, 24 milligrams. Even one large egg contains 187 milligrams of cholesterol. Again, the eggs come from animals. And you might have thought that, and thankfully recently a study came out to prove this wrong, that we always believed that fish oil prevents the heart attack. It's totally bogus. A big study was done, I think about a couple of years back, and it proved that fish oil does not prevent the heart attack. But, on the contrary, now that was not part of the study, but we know that it's probably responsible partly for giving you the heart attack. Why? Because 1 teaspoonful of fish oil also has 104 milligrams of cholesterol.
The marketeers are taking advantage of all gullible people, and they give it's like a snake oil.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, okay, this is how it's going to work. It never worked, but gullible people believe that and they buy that.
Yes. Unfortunately, by the time they find out, sometimes it's too late. By the time they get a heart attack, all this information is suppressed on purpose. And that makes me angry as a physician because I care about my patients' lives. And I want to spread this information as much as possible. But people are people. They get some information from the wrong source. They keep believing in it, and then that's it. So then the life goes on, and it's unfortunately we are surrounded by more people who also believe the same thing. So it's really difficult to escape the untruth and find the truth. And that, I think, is my job. And like I said, if I asked this to 100 people, including doctors, only 2 people had told me the right answer, and they were biochemistry students. That's why they said, oh yeah, doc, I know that. And they were young kids. But doctors who are supposed to know, they don't know. And if they don't know, how they're going to tell their patients to stay away from animal foods? So this is where the cholesterol is a major issue. But interesting thing is, all the plants, if you Google it, and you can Google it, go ahead. And because a lot of my patients doubted me, He says, Doc, come on, cashews definitely has to have cholesterol. I said, I'm standing you, pull out your phone, you Google it, zero cholesterol. Whether it's cashew or pistachios, beans, potatoes, rice, anything from the plant side, that will have a zero cholesterol. So if your cholesterol is high, what do? Don't eat it. Simple as that. Eat the beautiful foods that are made by the Mother Earth rather than relying on animals and animal products as your food source. It's absolutely not necessary. If you had no alternative available, I could understand. But there are plenty of alternatives available. All plants have zero cholesterol. And the question is why? Because their cell walls are made from cellulose, fiber, zero cholesterol. Their cell walls are made from cellulose, which is like a tree bark in a miniature form, makes the cells of the plants. And each cell wall of the plant is made out of cellulose, which is fiber. So the whole idea is to get rid of the foods which are coming from the animal source and shift to the plant-based food. And that's how I selected the whole food plant-based diet.
So, doctor, the whole conversation came up because when I said this, plant-based food do not have any cholesterol,
Right.
and these people were not ready to believe me. And it's like they thought I'm just giving the from the air. But
Yes.
then they realized, they Googled it, and they say, yeah, what you are saying is right, but how come we don't know?
Yes.
No school taught us, and nobody is talking about it.
And this is science. This is not, promotion of anything, right?
Yeah.
The other way is the other way, right? Pharmaceutical industries don't want to know, government doesn't want to know because, of course, they wash each other's hands. And the food industry, of course, don't want to know. On top of that, believe it or not, Akshay, there is a RDA for cholesterol. You know what that means, right? Recommended daily allowance.
Correct.
Now, how silly is that? That yes, this is how much cholesterol you should eat. I had actually talked to an orthopedic doctor in my doctor's lounge when I was having my lunch, and I said, listen, you have to stop. All these things are high in cholesterol. He says, no, your body needs cholesterol. Government says so. Where does it say so? RDA. That is a recommended daily allowance, as if it's an essential component of your diet. But obviously, it is. In the hindsight, I realize now that it's all political illusions. They're
Right.
all colluding with each other to really make up that there is a RDA for cholesterol. When somebody is dying of a heart attack and he may be worried that I'm not getting enough cholesterol in my diet, how silly, how pathetic would that be? Just because of the influence by the government and the pharmaceutical industries and whatnot, the food industry, of course, is somebody has to wake people up. So I'm just doing that job. So that's very sad. That's very sad. You're right. So let's go to the next. So I got this information, right? And then suddenly, and I'm really like a gung-ho on spreading this information, but I needed somebody like a, poster child for me. Because the thing is that I had a lot of Indian patients. They were vegetarians. So overall, they were not eating meat and all that. So their cholesterols were high, but not as high as somebody would be eating everything. Everything means everything. So this girl came to see me. She drove 3.5 hours to come and see me from upstate New York. And I said, that doesn't make sense. Why do you travel so much to come see me? He says, no, I was visiting my mother in next town. And she told me, she has never been to you, but she told me she heard that you're a nice doctor and I have this problem, I'll come to see you. I said, okay, we'll take care of it. She had some asthmatic bronchitis. So I took care of it, no problem. But he says, Doc, but there is one more thing I need to tell you. My cholesterol is very high. And she was single. She was very single body. So I was surprised, but it doesn't matter how much you weigh. What matters the most, more than how much you weigh, is what you eat. So her ex was Italian. And she said, I just came back from Italy. And in Italy, believe me, Dr. Shah, everything under the sun we ate. And Italy, everything is there, meat related. So she told me her cholesterol was 274 and her bad cholesterol, which is the sticky cholesterol, 173. I said, that's horrible. He says, yeah. I said, what did your doctor say? So he said, yeah, Mary, you have to take a pill to bring it down. Otherwise, you're going to get a heart attack. I said, did you get a second opinion? He said, yes, I went to endocrinologist. And he said the same thing. Mary, take the pill. There is no way you can reverse the cholesterol. So she said, I came to you. I don't want to take a pill. I still want to bring my cholesterol down. So I kind of smirked. I said, well, you came to a different doctor. I said, I'm going to ask you a question. And this question is open to public. If you try to catch something and it runs away, what would you do? Think about it. She also thought about it. And I must have asked this question to 100 people. 99 people are wrong. Most of the people say, we'll go after. If you try to catch something, it runs away, what would you do? Common says, I'll run after. But somehow, she got my point. She says, I would let it go. That also is an option that nobody chooses, right? So, God has given animals legs. Why? To run away, to save their life. So when you are running after the animal, and the animal is running away, it's trying to save its life. You are only trying to fill your stomach. See the difference? So, animals have legs to save their life. But plants don't have legs. Plants don't run away. Trees don't run away. Why don't you eat that? By going after animals who have legs, you are imposing yourself onto the society, and you're enforcing yourself, your strength, or whatever you call that. Foolishness, actually, but you think that you're so wise that you can catch animal. You are only disturbing the natural balance. And by disturbing this natural balance is the habit of humans have created so many diseases in the world. But the apple, when the apple tree has the apples in them, the branches actually come down so that you can consume them very easily. Eating one apple does not kill the tree, but eating a cow makes sure happens that the cow cannot bear any more cows. So you're stopping a whole generation. See how much damage you're causing to the natural, the whole natural balance of what's going on in the world. How we have evolved. After we have evolved, all this carnage is taking place. So, when you eat the apples, you actually helping propagate the apple further, because you eating that in an ideal environment. If you're living in a jungle, you'll be passing the seeds down onto the ground when you move your bowels, and another tree will grow. So you are participating in a total environment which is conducive to evolve further. Here we have taken over the animal kingdom and killing it indiscriminately, and we are stopping the further growth of the natural cycle. So this just wanted to make it a point that so her LDL in 6 weeks came down to 68. She texted me personally, said, Dhanyavad. She said, like in Hindi, she said, thank you. Shukriya, same thing. That thanks to your wisdom, because she got it done in one of the supermarkets, her cholesterol. And that's where she got this information. And she says, my bad cholesterol dropped 170 through 68 by 105 points. I said, take these results to that endocrinologist and to your own personal doctor. Show this to them, that cholesterol can be reversed by changing your diet. That night alone, she was so hard-headed girl, she went vegan. She understood the whole thing. She went vegan overnight. She stopped all her animals and animal products. So this was a wonderful case. So that's why since then I've been really aggressively spreading the message about the cholesterol. Because cholesterol, this is what her message was. So it was really pleasant. So I told her, you're going to be a poster child for me for all my talks from this point onward. So of course, why do we worry about cholesterol? Because there is a number one cause of the heart attack is cholesterol. I'm not saying that cholesterol only is responsible for heart attack. We know that inflammation in the plaques that build up in your arteries is the inflammation also causes the breakage of the plaque. So there is a more involved, but cholesterol nevertheless is responsible for making the plaque, first of all. Inflammation is another story. So at least based on that information, when in Massachusetts, Framingham, Massachusetts, the first study was done where the whole town of Framingham was involved in doing this cholesterol study. And they studied so many things. These random studies are so important and very time consuming and finance consuming, but it really revealed a major information about the link between cholesterol and a heart disease. And a heart disease is a major disease that we all are facing that at one time never existed. When I was practicing, I actually was studying as a residency. In residency, we used to see heart attack, somebody who was more than 65, 70, something like that. And then as I started practicing, I started seeing in 50s and 40s, and I have seen heart attacks in 30s also. So it's so sad that it's like infiltrating throughout the community. So heart attack is really a major culprit. Why? Because if you look at it, the leading cause of death in adults in USA is the heart disease. One person dies every 36 seconds in United States. That means 1 in every 4 deaths is from the heart disease. The total cost, if you really calculate, $219 billion we spend every year. And more than that, what is important is what is happening in South Asian. And I am a South Asian. Every South Asian should be a wake-up call that yes, heart disease accounts for 30% of the total mortality in the world. 30% of the people who died from a heart attack. Yes, but out of those 30%, 60% of them are South Asians. So not just India, Pakistan, but Bangladesh, Nepal, all these areas are included in South Asians. They have a very high incidence of heart disease, among several reasons, which I will come later or maybe in the next lecture. But the highest death rate, even from the heart disease in United States, is among South Asians. So there was a study that came out, Masala study, done by Dr. Kanaya in California. She did a study on the first generation of South Asians who were living in this United States, who had come from Indian or the South Asian origin. And there is a very extensive report. I'm not going to get into it, but sadly it showed that we have a very high incidence and heart attack happening in much younger age, 30s and 40s. And we also suffer from metabolic syndrome, high triglycerides, low HDL, all those things, also going along with the elevated cholesterol. And also we have a lot of calcium deposits in our artery. So they recommended to do the calcium scoring at a much earlier age. All these things came out of Masala study. Now they're doing second and even third generation South Asians, how they have evolved once they came to US. But then again, it's so much of a detail to go into, so I won't go in detail. There are just salient features that I'm going to say, that there is a higher incidence of diabetes among these people, Lp(a), which is another marker, central obesity. So they may not be obese, but the belly, they have obesity in the center part. And this fat in your abdominal area, which is called peritoneal fat, is considered very high risk for heart disease. And like I said, increased calcium scoring. But the most important is the number 6, that many were vegetarians, but their diet was very high in dairy and very low in fruits and vegetables. As you can see, even though they were avoiding meat, they were not avoiding cholesterol, because they were not told the truth that even milk, dairy products are also high in cholesterol. And cheese, out of all, is the worst. It doesn't matter. If I had a cholesterol, I want to prevent myself from heart attack, I would have a 0 dairy products. And in exchange, increasing the fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, like we normally do, me and Akshay at least. But that's what I highly recommend, to go on a raw food diet. No question.
I know someone, when I talk about raw food and plant-based food, they said we can give anything but the cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese is a must, and they are addicted to cheese so much.
Yes.
And even though knowingly they know that this is the harmful substance, we should not take it.
Do you know the reason for it? you know why we are addicted to cheese? Not we, but they are. Do you know why?
No.
There is a scientific reason for it. There is something called casomorphone. Casomorphone is a chemical that is naturally present in the milk. All milks, cow's milk, mother's milk, human's milk, giraffe milk, all mother's milk contain casomorphone. And there is a reason for it. Casomorphone is derived from morphine. The morphine that people consume, hashish and all those things. So there is an addictive component to this casomorphone, which is naturally present in the milk. Now think, why would mother doesn't know, but why would this mother's milk will contain casomorphone? Because it wants the baby to get addicted to mother's milk, which is full of calories, full of nutrition, and not lose interest in it. So literally by casomorphone, the baby is getting addicted to the mother's milk, this is a nature's link. But what's going to happen to us when we are not even babies? We are not even getting milk from our own mother anymore. We are getting milk from someone else's mother's milk, in this case, cows. But that casomorphone does not disappear.
800-pound animal.
Yeah, imagine if our mother was 800 pounds, how much milk will be drinking? Imagine that. So this casomorphone then gets concentrated into the cheese out of milk. Nobody cares about milk. Why? Because the taste of the cheese is so addictive. And this is why I told you 10 cups of milk will come to 1 cup of cheese. So imagine there is a 10 times concentration of that casomorphone. And that's the reason people get addicted to cheese.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I was not knowing that this. Yeah.
It is what it is. Yes, and that's why I tell people there is a replacement available. There is all soy cheese, cashew cheese, oat made out of all the non-animal milks. It's available. It's available. So they have to try to switch the pattern, and they're zero cholesterol. Mind well, no cholesterol in them. So they recommended, masala people, they reduce your body weight. Now, this is another interesting, that ideal body weight over here always has been 20 to 25. But that's considering the total population of United States at that time. Now there is a fundamental shift happening in the population shift, because a lot of South Asians have arrived in this country. So now, according to the study, masala study, they recommended to bring it down by 2 points. 18 to 23. So it's no more 20 to 25. And in the middle of 18 to 23 will be 21. So that's your ideal body weight. So that's what they've been highly recommending people to go as low as possible, but definitely stay somewhere in the middle. And family history was never considered a risk factor before, but I knew it in my practice, because as I was saying, a lot of Indian patients, especially Gujaratis and the South Indian patients, every time somebody comes in from South India, I'll ask them. In those days, like when the Tata Consultancy was hiring people and all those kind of things, I said, okay, so you're here on H1? He says, yes, sir. And I said, your wife is on H4? Yes, sir. And then as they're giving the family history, as they're going to the father, they died, I said, wait, died from a heart attack, right? He says, yes. How did you know? I knew. So South Indians and Gujaratis are very, very high risk. That family, so I knew it even before the masala study made the recommendations that family history is a major risk factor for getting a heart disease for the children. So they again recommended a physical activity. So there was another trend that they noticed, that people who migrate from South Asian countries and they come to this country and they get into R&R, rest and recreation, and they get involved into heavy duty foods. Of course, India has their own set of bad foods, all the dairy products, of course, and the fried stuff and chavanas and all those kind of things. But when they came here, now they're exposed to pizza and ice creams and candies and cookies and cakes and all that. So that combination of all these things, that puts them at a very, very high risk for heart disease. But there are some, and that includes me, is the one who learns from the Western society to be physically active, and they start adopting the Western lifestyle to be more active, to be aware of what I'm eating and all those things. They have a better risk tolerance against the heart attack. So I would highly recommend to merge this. So the sector of the South Asian people who amalgamated themselves with the surrounding society, learned from them, and shifted their lifestyle, they survived. But the one who did not, a lot of them still having heart attacks. And my office was full of diabetes, obesity, heart attack. They just cannot come out of their behavior, unfortunately. And then calcium scoring, I already talked about. So that should be done. That until the masala study, it was not recommended for anyone. Now we have significantly. I have another a physician who has came in place of my practice. He's also Indian origin, so we have discussed this. So he's being very, very aggressive in screening the people. So it's very important. So there was another interesting study. There is a study called Blue Zones on Netflix. And this also makes a point that there are some centers, they declare them as blue zones, which is in Central Africa, Papua New Guinea, rural China, Okinawa, Sardinia, Italy, and even Loma Linda University, California, is also declared as a blue zone. And what is so special about the blue zone? Intentionally or unintentionally, they are on whole food plant-based diet. So that means their risk of heart disease is almost zero. They are not getting any heart disease at all. In California, which is the heart of America, in Loma Linda University, there is no heart attack. They made a pilot project around Loma Linda University, and they included so many people who are volunteer. And after it's been going on for several decades, and now they have realized that by changing the lifestyle, heart attack can be reversed. Risk of heart attack can be reversed. So all these people like Sardinia, Italy, you go there, everything is so upslope and downslope. So everybody has to walk up and down. So tremendous amount of exercise, mostly Mediterranean diet, little fish here and there, but mostly whole food plant-based diet. Same thing, Okinawa, Japan. Average age over there is 105. So it's really eye-opening. And again, all this information is there. If people care about their own health, they should look into this documentary in Netflix, So all this can be reversed with the whole food plant-based diet. So there was one interesting anecdote, which I'm gonna come to this later. So in Norway, in 1941, Germany occupied Norway, right? So, as the invading army does, they go and collect all the animals for their own soldiers' food consumption. So what result happened was Norwegians were kept devoid of animal foods because everything was consumed by Germans. Now, whatever happened in World War, that's a story we know. But during those 4 years, the study was done. They found out there was 54% reduction in the heart disease just by not eating animal products among the Norwegians. Now, how many soldiers died of heart attack? I have no idea. But in Norwegians, the risk of heart attack went down, coronary artery disease, by 54%, just by staying off the animal products. Of course, once they won, victory came, they went back to the animal foods. So, if you really look at it, in the cardiovascular industry in the whole United States, we are really after treating the diseases. We never talk about preventing the diseases. Nobody cares to know about it even, that what is causing this. We are just so like a herd of sheep, so busy taking care of all this disease load that we are facing as a physicians, pharmaceutical industry. We are just busy creating more and more medications. So we keep on doing repetitive tests about the cholesterol. Now they have to check the liver enzymes, blood sugars. Then there are statins, which brings the blood sugar down, the cholesterol down, the medications, but they also increase the sugars. So we have to check that. Beta blockers, ACE inhibitors, all these are needed for the heart disease patients, blood thinners, all because of the complications of the heart attacks, right? But then statins also cause myopathy, muscle pains, and neuropathies, elevated sugars, and all those things. We also put them on blood thinners because they need to. That sometimes causes hemorrhages in their brain. They die of complications of the medication. they die. We perform, and this is CDC data, 500,000 bypass surgeries in this country. Now, look at the worst part of it. There is a 3% fatality rate, meaning 3% of the people will die because of the surgery. Forget about the heart attack. So if you calculate 15,000 people die every year as a complication of bypass surgery, which is acceptable. How is it acceptable? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. But there are studies after studies. There is a guy named Dean Ornish. He's a guru of this whole food plant-based diet. He was also out of California. And he did a study of 48 people, small study. But he said that going on a low-fat diet, on a whole food plant-based diet, reverse the heart diseases, reverse the blockages of the arteries. There is not a single medication, including statin, has ever been found to reverse the blockages. All they do is prevent the further blockages. That's it.
I think, what they say is a healthcare system. It is
Yes.
not healthcare, it's a sick care system.
It is. It's a disease. Like once you have, that's what I say. You know what? The thing is that, what do you know by Ayurveda? Now, we know what is Ayurveda. There are medications and there are all ancient Vedas, Veds, and all those things they give. I'm not talking that part. Do you know the meaning of Ayurveda? Meaning of the word Ayurveda. Ayu means life.
Age.
Ayu means life. Veda means science.
Right.
So impressed with the meaning of Ayurveda. Forget about all the. I'm not trained in that, so I'm not even saying condoning that, nothing like that. But to understand their purpose behind Ayurveda is for the whole life. So that included prevention also. That's why they invented all these yogas, asanas, pranayam, and all those things, meditations. All these things you go within and you connect with the soul. And that's why they have another word called swasthya. Do you know the meaning of swasthya? We know it's health, but no, I'm talking about Sanskrit meaning of swasthya. Swa means self. Swa means not me, my soul. Swa, astha, the one who settles down in the soul, does not need anything else. All the foods that we are consuming is for pleasure of the body. So swasthya has a positive definition of health. If you go and ask a regular doctor, for example, me, if you come to me and you ask me the definition of health, I have no actual definition. I would say that when you have no diseases, you are healthy. But that's not really a definition. It's a negative definition. But a positive definition is swasthya. The one who settles down in their soul is the swasthya. And it's very deep, of course, from spiritual point of view, which is
That
not...
wonderful definition. Unknowing, I was not knowing all these things, but
Yeah.
I think I fall into that category just by following nature.
Yeah, which indirectly you're doing that. And that's exactly what I explained earlier, that you are imposing yourself onto another animal. It's just going against the nature because he has legs, he's trying to save. It's not healthy. So eat a lot of fruits, nuts, seeds, staying with the nature. Again, the same thing. They are in their own natural state. Also, you also be in the natural state, then you have no diseases. Krishna said, Satvik Ahar, Satvik Vichar, and Satvik Acharan. 3 things. You do it, I'll give you 100 years of guarantee of life. Now, Satvik Ahar, nobody understands. What is Sattva? You know it. Sattva is purity. An apple that grows on a tree is Satvik. As soon as you bring it home and put the sugar and butter and make an apple pie, Sattva is gone. A child is Satvik, is innocent. As he grows older, he learns all the tricks of necessary in sansar. He loses his Sattva. People living in villages are innocent. People come to the cities, they lose their Sattva. So Sattva is purity. And that's what whole Ayurveda was based on. Whole spirit, the Sanskrit language, that's why it is called the language of gods. Because literally they were speaking from the soul level. They were not talking about all this commercialism. They were not gaining anything. So that's what I got fascinated with the word Ayurveda. I'm just saying. So I digressed for it from our talk, but it's interesting. So I thought I'd bring it up. So this is what we are doing. All this along the line, nobody's talking about prevention. So it's very unfortunately, because whole food plant-based diet can easily prevent all these things. And you're talking about so much billions and billions of load that we have. 219 billions on a heart disease, 350 billions for diabetes. All these things can be gone and we all can live a very healthy life. But don't wait for the government to make recommendations for it. It's not going to happen. You listen to this talk and go on a whole food plant diet. That's it. At least you're thinking yourself. So this slide came up. I didn't realize that I had included. So the same thing about the Norwegians. So their coronary heart disease went down by 58%. But we'll move on. So this is the study, very, very important study, came out in 2017. And it's kind of a busy slide, but I'll tell you, 200,000 people were enrolled. 100,000 were eating anything they wanted, including animal foods. And another 100,000, they said, okay, you go vegan, don't eat animal foods. So I'll just give you a rundown. So they found out that there was a 12% reduction in the heart disease in 20 years. The data was studied over 20 years. It's a 12% lower risk of heart disease if you go vegan. But among the vegan, if you eat unhealthy vegan food, which is juices, sweetened beverages, grains, potato fries, sweets, all those things, versus the other group, they divided, that they eat only whole grains, fruits, nuts, vegetables, all that, and no oils. Sorry, I wrote this, but tea, coffee is okay like that to some extent. But basically, healthy vegan diet, their risk went down another 7%, and the unhealthy vegan diet went up by 10%. So this study, people took it in a different way. Oh, so then vegan food is no good. So we should go back to eating animal food. But the real analysis showed that 12% reduction by going vegan and another 7%, almost 20% reduction in heart disease in that study, just by going on a healthy vegan diet, which we call now whole food plant-based diet. So speaking so much about the cholesterol, there is another very interesting way how this whole food plant-based diet will work on you. And this is through the fiber. Again, the cell wall of each cell in the plant side has a cell wall made out of cellulose. And cellulose, we discussed, is fiber. So what does this fiber do in your body? There are so many good things. I cannot spend enough time on it. But one thing I can tell you, it is very, very underused, even on people eating on a plant-based diet. Why? Because what it does, it occupies your stomach. It goes in your stomach and occupies space. But fiber, by default, is not absorbable. Our bodies are not designed to absorb. Unlike cows, they can eat the fiber and digest it and absorb the calories from it. But we cannot. So our fiber just passes through our intestine. What it does, it gives you a lot of bulk to your stool. So that's how you will have a good bowel movement, versus animal foods have zero fiber. So it takes more time for the animal food to pass through. And animal food has been linked with intestinal cancers, especially the colon cancer, versus the fiber has been known to reduce the risk of colon cancer or any other intestinal cancers. But one more thing it does, because fiber is very rough, it is rough edge. So when you eat, and the inner lining of the stomach walls, intestinal walls, they are very soft, very, very delicate. So this fiber rubs against it. It works like a sponge, it does the scrubbing function. So it scrubs all the cells which are right in front. And these are kind of dying cells. So what happens when you do the scrubbing, all these dying cells come out and healthy cells come in the front. Now, what's the difference between dying cells and the healthy cells? Dying cells have special oncogenes, because as the cell keeps getting older, it develops these particular genes in their cell wall, which has an increased tendency to develop cancer. So what fiber does, it by scraping these dying cells off, it reduces your risk of cancer. And the healthy cells which are come in the front, now they are taking place of these old cells. They can fight against the toxic chemicals that we consume. It will fight against them and reduce your risk of heart attack.
The fiber is also
What's that?
the food for the good microbiome, right?
Yes, of course. Yes, that becomes a food for the correct. So healthy microbiome also has so many different ways, because this bacteria, which are healthy bacteria, stimulates your immune system. All those things are, of course, definitely there. But like I said, I would talk about another half an hour on the microbiome itself. But let's not get like that. But look at this all these oat mills. They always put it on Quaker oats. They reduce cholesterol by 15%. So this is the reason how they reduce the cholesterol. And how do they reduce the cholesterol? Don't forget, every cell that's coming out, the fiber works like a sponge on them. And when we are moving the bowels, fiber is also leaving our body, but in that intermittent space in between, like a sponge, it holds on to these cells, which are dead now. And every cell, remember, the cell wall is made out of cholesterol. So they get rid of these dying cells, and that's how they reduce cholesterol by 15%. So it's absolutely beautiful thing to do. The daily need for fiber is 38 grams. Unfortunately, average fiber intake in US is only 15 grams. So there is a lot to learn from cholesterol. So that's what I try to.
Sister Susan.
I will skip this for now, because this is more about diabetes. So let's go. This one is a very interesting video, which we'll play. But that video basically talks about President Clinton, that because he had an open heart surgery. He had a coronary artery bypass surgery because his diet was horrible. It was like hamburgers and hot dogs and French fries and all that. And so he had to have a bypass surgery. But then he was visiting Haiti, and then over there he suddenly developed chest pain after the bypass surgery. So one of the artery had blocked up. They had to fly him back to Washington, and then they did a bypass. They had to redo the angioplasty again. At that time, our hero, Dean Ornish, contacted him, and he said that, President Clinton, I can change your life. And luckily, President Clinton listened to him. And since then, President Clinton has gone vegan. So this is a very interesting video. Take your time and listen to it, every single component. It also talks about Dr. Esselstyn. Dr. Esselstyn is a chief of cardiology in a Cleveland clinic, and he's heavy proponent of whole food plant-based diet to his own patients. And again, I'm not going to spoil the surprise of the video, but make sure you listen to the video.
Or a face. Talked about the fact that you love to eat. I mean, this is.
But I know, I like the stuff I eat. I like the vegetables, the fruits, the beans, the stuff I eat now. I like it.
Do you call yourself a vegan now then?
Well, I suppose I am if I don't eat dairy or meat or fish.
You're doing this for your health. Is
Yes,
that why you're doing it?
Absolutely.
Clinton's dietary guides, Dean Ornish, and this guy, Caldwell Esselstyn, at the Cleveland Clinic. Every month, the 77-year-old Esselstyn holds a day-long seminar, attracting doctors and heart patients from across the country, like Sharon Kintz, a retired private investigator from Canton, Ohio. Kintz had a heart attack 6 months earlier after a coronary artery became completely blocked. What Kintz did next may surprise you. She turned the surgeon down cold, said no to open heart surgery, and decided to take a chance using food as medicine. Like President Clinton, Kintz has given up the food she loves, like butter and cheese. She's betting her life on Dr. Esselstyn's diet. She had a heart attack.
Oh, yeah, I know.
You know Sharon.
Oh, yeah.
Doctors recommended she have an intervention. She's not doing it. Is there a downside? Could she be putting herself at risk?
No. I think that's an excellent question. In hundreds of patients, data now going back over 20 years, and this most recent study about a decade, once they start eating this way, you'll make yourself heart attack proof. Going back over proof. We know that if people are eating this way, they are not going to have a heart attack.
Esselstyn has won some allies, like Dr. Terry Mason, Chief Medical Officer at Cook County Hospitals in Chicago, and the city's former public health commissioner.
We've eaten ourselves into a problem, and we can eat ourselves out of it.
Esselstyn thinks heart disease is completely preventable, no matter what sort of family history you have, simply by eating right. During his research, he came upon a stunning fact. Some cultures around the world, like people living in Central Africa, Papua New Guinea Highlanders, and Tarahumara Indians in Mexico, have virtually no heart disease. None. So what can we learn from them?
You have some easy to remember adages about how people can decide what they should or should not eat.
We know what they shouldn't eat. That is oil, dairy, meat, fish, and chicken. What do we want them to eat? We want them to eat all those whole grains for their cereal, bread, and pasta, beans, vegetables, yellow, red, green, and fruit. Now, what particular vegetables do we want them to have? Bok choy, Swiss chard, kale, collards, collard green, beet greens, mustard green, turnip greens, Napa cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, cilantro, parsley, spinach, and arugula, and asparagus. And I'm out of breath.
President Clinton's diet, no meat, no dairy, almost no oil, got me thinking how different what he's eating now as compared to what he used to eat, and what most of us still eat. Make a habit of high-fat, high-cholesterol meals like this, and you can physically see the beginnings of heart disease. I was curious about the science behind Dr. Esselstyn's claims, so I dug up some of these peer-reviewed journals. They're small, just a handful of patients, but the results are pretty impressive. In one study here, patients on the Esselstyn diet and cholesterol-lowering medication had no heart attacks, had no coronary events of any sort after 5 years. And 3/4 of these patients actually saw their blockages get smaller.
You're not talking about just reducing your chance of heart disease. You're talking about potentially reversing heart disease.
Oh, absolutely.
The late wisdom is that once you develop these plaques, they're there. You're stuck with them. Try not to let them get worse. Is that faulty thinking?
I think it's absolutely faulty thinking.
Here's a picture Esselstyn likes to show of a heart patient with a blocked coronary artery. And here's that same patient after going on a plant-based diet. You see the way the blockage has almost disappeared? Sharon Kintz survived a heart attack a year ago after a coronary artery became completely blocked. Now she's counting on the Esselstyn diet to keep her from having another.
Thankfully, your heart muscle function is normal.
Kint's cardiologist, Adnan Zaidi, says, so far so good with the diet.
It's a difficult sell, but those who get onto it have benefited from it without a question.
Kintz is a true believer. So is former President Bill Clinton. And nowadays, they have a lot of high-powered company. All of these CEOs and former CEOs are either vegetarians or vegans.
Would you call yourself healthy now?
Well, I think I'm healthier than I was. I lost 20-something pounds. All my blood tests are good. All my vital signs are good. And I feel good. And I actually have, believe it or not, more energy.
And this is one of the success stories. One of my colleague in World Vegan Vision, he wanted to go vegan, but he had no idea. And so I convinced him, and finally he lost almost 45 pounds in 3 years' time. So it was a very good success story. There was another colleague, same thing. His cholesterol used to be 223, came down to 164. LDL from 146 to 106. So see the major success story. Believe in this. This is a really brand new information if you're listening to this for the first time. But I hope that you will propagate this information further in the society and definitely apply that in your life first, so then you can be a major proponent. And so much for that. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much, doctor, for giving us so much good information. Now, my question to you, is like, and I'm facing this problem most of the time. Whenever you share this kind of information, people just, since many centuries, people are eating like this, and that the way it is, doesn't make any difference. And they don't want to even, it goes on from one year to another out.
Yeah, there is a reason for it though. And again, like I said, I told you I'm into spirituality. So I know all this by heart and I have gone through all these things. So I recommend people 3 things. If you're really serious about your health, do the Shravan. Shravan is not just listening to me. Shravan is gathering the information from anywhere. You can read the book, go on internet, do the search, whatever. Look at the documentaries. There are so many nice documentaries on Netflix about the health, I said. So do that. That is called Shravan. But Then if you think that, okay, I know everything and I want to put in an action, it's not going to happen.
No,
Why?
but doctor, it's not like
Yes.
that. The problem is they say we don't care. That's how they start. I don't care. Is okay. I mean, one of my friend is a heavy diabetic, and I try to tell him some good my 2 cents, and he said, Akshay, I don't care. Anyway, I'm going to die. So it's okay.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I mean, you can only take the horse to a water. So that's why I focus my talk more on the younger generations, because the olders, their habits have become so heavy that they just cannot come out because they don't have enough prana. The swa, the soul prana left anymore. Because again, I have written the book, Practical Spiritual Life. You read that. This is how I got into spirituality, because there is that in the second chapter, there is a slok on it, 62 and 63 in Bhagavad Gita. And it says, Dhyato Vishyam Punsa Sangateshu Upajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kama Krodha Abhijayate Krodha Bhavati Sammoha Sammoha Smriti Vibran Smriti Banshad Buddhinasha Pranasyati. Only in 2 sloks it shows the downfall, how the man goes to the worst end of his life by only paying attention to these objects of pleasure. And little by little, this mind is captured. So when he's talking, he's not talking to you anymore. This Häagen-Dazs is talking to you, or Philadelphia cream cheese is talking to you. Ice cream.
One more question is,
Yes.
like, let's say if at that sense, Gita and Ayurveda. So at the time of Krishna, milk was he was a makhan chur, so butter. So at that time also milk was in use for majority people.
Yeah. Well, it was a normal thing. But think about this. Okay, Krishna was born in that environment, right? Now you are a kid. Won't you listen to your mother? Won't you trust your mother?
Right.
So as mother kept on giving, he kept on taking it. He was not enlightened at the time of birth, right?
No, my point is at that.
Let me finish. So as he evolved, and then he reached to his highest state. And when he delivered Gita on the 9th chapter, 26th sloks, he's telling Arjun, give me only 4 things. Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam. Leaf, flower, fruit, and water. He doesn't say, give me milk. He doesn't say, give me meat. So a lot of people don't want to accept this. They want to keep consuming dairy products, so they make Krishna their icon, so they can follow. So again, people are going to do what they're going to do. I had an argument with another friend, the same thing, He says, oh, come on, you just imposing your ideas onto Krishna. But I said, listen, you talk about Gita all the time. If this slok has to have some meaning, try to find a meaning out of it. It clearly says, give me 4 things.
I see this way, that as a rational human, we have to evolve. So whatever happened, let's say centuries back or millennia back, doesn't mean that we have to follow that at this time.
No,
Because
but
at that time it is okay, but at this time it is not okay. We have to.
Wait, but there is another angle to that. That was not always the case. The farming started about 24,000 years back, right? Before that, there were no farms. People were living in a jungle. Do you think ever anybody would try to milk a wild cow? They won't survive. In jungle, giraffe's milk is only for giraffe's baby. Rhino's milk is only for rhino's baby. Human milk is only for human baby. Cows don't share. Only when the farming started and we started having our farming communities and all that, we wanted to plow the fields. In the beginning, we were doing ourselves. We could not do it. So what we did, we went into the jungle and tamed the cows and we domesticated them. So Krishna was only 2,500 years back. What does he know? The tradition which was going on for 20,000 years.
Correct.
So obviously he had to follow. But
Yeah.
when he reached enlightenment, what did he tell Arjun?
Correct. Well,
That's
this is a fascinating, subject. We can just keep talking and talking, but time is up now. We have
yes.
to conclude here. Give us, anything to conclude this, and we will finalize the episode.
Well, all I know is all across the life, there are so many people in a different age groups. Ultimately, spirituality says your life is your life. If you don't care about it, nobody would care about it. At the end of that day, when you're in ICU, your wife would come and leave and shed some tears. Your son would leave a beautiful bouquet of flowers and friends and whatever. But in that bed, you will be fine.
All right, that's a really, really good message. People, wake up.
All
Think
right.
about it. Don't just listen me or Dr. Shrenik Shah or anybody. Just go and do some study. Think about it and
That's what,
put it into practice.
yeah, but that's why let me finish that Shravan thing I started. So Shravan is gathering all the information. It's a short one. But then is Manan. Then you have to contemplate on it. You utilize your brain. Leave everything aside. Close your eyes and see what makes sense. Or gather all the cruelty that is being done on the animals, all the bad foods, all the side effects of the animal foods. Read all these things. Then do Manan and then try to put it in your daily life. Don't just listen to this and it's okay, from tomorrow I'm vegan. It's not going to happen.
Right. You
All
have
right.
to study it.
Yes.
Thank you very much, doctor.
All
Thank
right.
you for
Thank
all
you.
your information. We will make another, episode soon. Life is energy. Energy is life.